Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is BonsaiSky. What does William Shakespeare, Leonardo da Vinci, and Michael Jordan have in common? Well, they worked hard to get to the top of their respective fields of expertise and are known the world over. William Shakespeare, the infamous playwright, is arguably best known for his plays such as Hamlet, Macbeth, Julius Caesar, The Tempest, and Romeo and Juliet. Michael Jordan is most notably known for his on-court heroics, his last-second shots, his quick crossover and dunking ability. He is vastly recognized as the greatest basketball player to have ever played the game. And Leonardo da Vinci is renowned primarily for his paintings, and although his gift traverses many fields, his most famous painting is the Mona Lisa. I'm sure you've heard of it. Ask anyone on the street who these people are. They will have heard the name and recognize some of their greatest works. They would have known Shakespeare for Romeo and Juliet, Michael Jordan for his NBA championships, and Leonardo da Vinci for the Mona Lisa. The point is that they worked their way to the top, leaving behind a trail of hard work and practice, coupled with a natural gift, and leaving a history littered with drafts and determination only to symbolize their struggle to the top. There is no such thing as a one-hit wonder, just a perception thereof. Now, you're probably asking yourselves, what does this have to do with anything? Well, I'm sure that you can't fathom that Shakespeare woke up one day and wrote Macbeth without any formal education and attempts at writing, and that Michael Jordan didn't just walk onto the basketball court for the Chicago Bulls without ever learning to dribble, and that Leonardo da Vinci simply put brush to canvas, creating memorable masterpieces without chucking a few in the trash bin before he became known for who he was. As for the Qur'an, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, simply couldn't have written it. When the Qur'an is objectively examined and its historical context studied, it's just not possible. Let me explain. For every Shakespeare, there was the studying of the works of the great classical authors and dramatists such as Ovid, Plato, Horace, Virgil, Cicero, and Seneca in grammar school. And for every Leonardo da Vinci, there was a working for his father as an apprentice to the renowned workshop of Andrea del Verrocchio in Florence, and being exposed to Vinci's long-standing painting tradition. For every Michael Jordan, there was a getting cut from his high school basketball team that he used as motivation to practice even harder to become who he was.
Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you to believe it was easy when it wasn't. Maybe I made you think my highlights started at the free throw line and not in the gym. Maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner. That my game was built on flash and not fire. Maybe it's my fault that you didn't see that failure gave me strength, that my pain was my motivation. Maybe I led you to believe that basketball was a God-given gift and not something I worked for every single day of my life.
Now, how often do you hear detractors claim that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, wrote the Quran? How often do they make that assertion only to expose themselves when asked to support their theories with actual evidence? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a shepherd coming from humble origins. Orphaned as a young child, he was never formally taught in any center of learning, only to be raised by his own tribe. He was both unable to read and unable to write. History informs us that he was never known for poetry, nor speaking much for that matter. From this pious and humble man from the deserts of Arabia comes the Holy Quran, revelation that touches on subjects such as astronomy, geology, embryology, genetics, biology, archaeology, established world religions, politics, law, mannerisms, guiding the human soul, setting away a gold standard, only to be adopted ultimately by approximately 2 billion people. Eloquence that served as the root of classical Arabic grammar. A recitation that obtains a unique rhythmic sequence that makes it easy to memorize, and that seeks not to be read nor chanted, but recited in its harmonic, majestic beauty. That rocks the soul to the core, which only has people coming back for more. Never has repetition been so insightful, so intriguing, so mesmerizing, so inspiring that it causes the soul to weep from within, only to push the body to overreact, unable to contain itself, causing it to bow down in humility. A recitation that cannot turn back. There was no practice. It was immediately absorbed by the people, only to be adhered to religiously. The Prophet Muhammad was the most recorded man in history. Where are those documents written in his handwriting? Where are those scholars he supposedly learned from? What are their names? Where are his poems? And if the Quran claims that he was an ummi, or an unlearned individual, and it does, and was caught drinking a latte reading at Barnes & Noble, why would anyone follow him? he would have been accused of being a liar by his closest followers. This was a man who was a prophet, a husband, a general, a soldier, a warrior, a politician, a lawmaker, a spiritual guide, and father. He was constantly surrounded by his followers. When would he have had the time to write or construct such a detailed feat involving intricacies of otherworld religions and wisdom that some followers study a lifetime to attain? Why wouldn't he take credit for writing or conceiving it? If he received counsel from these unknown scholars, where were they for a span of 23 years as the Qur'an was revealed and compiled? Why didn't they speak up and claim they taught the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, looking to attribute themselves to his early success? And if they weren't interested in that, then why didn't they expose him as a fraud? Had the verses of the Qur'an been written by the Prophet, peace be upon him, he would have needed a number of drafts, and the work would have needed editing and updating. But this didn't happen, yet the information is consistent throughout. The verses were taken down as dictated by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, only once, and no redrafting, editing, or updating took place after that. The only trail of hard work and practice you will find when it comes to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is practicing the faith as dictated to him by the Lord of the worlds.
صراط